We usually think of technology as this thing that only moves forward, right? New stuff comes out, old stuff gets forgotten. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if you could take a truly legendary piece of tech from, say, 40 years ago and just drop a modern engine into it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
So, let's ask the big question. Can you really teach a 40-year-old computer new tricks? I mean, think about it. That machine from the dawn of the PC era, maybe one that's collecting dust in your attic right now, could it possibly run software that was completely unimaginable back then? The answer, it turns out, is a huge yes. And how it's happening is just, wow, it's really incredible.
Okay, so to really get what a big deal this is, we've got to hop in the time machine. Let's go all the way back to the golden age of 8-bit computing. This was an era that, for millions of us, literally defined our childhoods, and honestly, it laid the foundation for almost everything we use today.
And right at the heart of that whole revolution was this one tiny, brilliant piece of silicon, the MOS 6502 microprocessor. I mean, look at it. It doesn't look like much, does it? But this little thing, this was the engine that powered an entire generation. We're talking about the absolute legends here, the original NES, the Commodore 64, the Apple II, all these incredible classic machines powered by this one little chip.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one that's been a headache for enthusiasts for decades. The hardware was and still is absolutely iconic, but trying to create new stuff for it? Oof, it's always been incredibly difficult. You're basically stuck using tools that were just as ancient as the machines themselves.
Just look at the difference here. The old way, man, it meant you were literally wrestling with complex assembly language. And look, it's super powerful, but it is notoriously difficult to work with. It basically put up this huge wall that just kept modern developers out. So the dream, for years and years, has been to somehow use all these great modern tools on the right to build stuff for the classic machines on the left. And for the longest time, that's all it was, a dream. Until now. This is where the story gets really good. Let's introduce the hero of our story, a project that finally builds that bridge between two totally different worlds of tech. Say hello to LLVM MOS. So what is it? Well, the simplest way to think about it is like a universal translator. See, it's an open source compiler. A compiler's job is to take a language a human can write, like C++, and translate it into the ones and zeros that a processor can actually understand. For decades, the 6502 could only understand translations from these really old, clunky translators. LLVM MOS changes everything. It's that missing piece, that modern link we've all been waiting for.
And I love this analogy because it just nails it. It really is like giving a classic car a brand new, high-performance engine. You get to keep that beautiful classic body, the look and feel of a Commodore 64 or an Apple II, but you're dropping in some serious modern horsepower under the hood. It's the best of both worlds, right? Retro style, modern power.
Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? How do you get a modern program to run on a machine that's 40 years old? Let's break down the process.
The workflow is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, a developer just writes their code in a modern language they already know, like C99 or C++11. Then, Step 2, LLVM MOS does all the magic. It takes that code, translates it, and optimizes the heck out of it specifically for that little 6502 chip. And then, Step 3, you just run it on the classic hardware, and it works flawlessly.
And what you get out of this is just a whole modern developer's toolkit for classic machines. First off, the performance is insane. We're talking about code that's often smaller and faster than anything the old compilers could ever dream of making. Then there's compatibility. You get to use languages that people actually want to code in today. And maybe the best part, at least for the developers, is you get things like world-class error messages. I mean, that alone cuts down on the frustration and development time like you wouldn't believe. So, you've got all this new power. What can you actually do with it? Well, this is where things get really, really cool. This project is kicking off a full-blown retro renaissance. It's making things that were always in the "that's impossible" category suddenly possible.
How about this for impossible? Booting a version of the Linux operating system on a Commodore 64. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, if you know anything about the C64, you know it only has 64 kilobytes of RAM. That's not megabytes or gigabytes, kilobytes. This should be pure science fiction. But thanks to the insane optimizations that LLVM MOS can pull off, it's a real thing.
Or what about this? People are building brand new, complex games for the original NES. But here's the kicker. They're writing them in modern C. This just smashes the barrier to entry. It means a whole new wave of creative, amazing homebrew games is suddenly flooding onto the scene.
And it's not just about C and C++. The project is already looking to the future. I mean, people are already experimenting with getting even newer languages, like Rust, running on machines like the Atari 800. It just goes to show you the incredible potential this bridge to the past really has.
And this isn't just for 1 or 2 lucky systems either. The project is spreading like wildfire. Right now, LLVM MOS supports more than 24 classic computing platforms. 24! That's a huge community of retro fans who can now tap into this modern power. And you know what? That list is getting longer all the time.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes pretty clear that this is about way more than just a fun hobby for retro fans. What we're really talking about here is the future of classic technology. At the end of the day, this isn't just about nostalgia, right? It's about preservation. It's about making sure these historic machines don't just disappear. It's about creativity, giving a whole new generation the tools to build things we never even dreamed of on this hardware. And maybe most of all, it's about community, bringing people together who share a passion for keeping these incredible machines alive and kicking.
And that really leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing thought. We just saw a 40-year-old computer chip get completely reborn, becoming more powerful than it ever was. So it really makes you wonder, what other piece of obsolete tech out there is just sitting and waiting for its own modern breakthrough?